Yes, it is.
Happens to be a special day to record. When this comes out, it will not be the special day anymore. We have officially made it one year doing this podcast. Today, February 21st.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
I had kind of in my head started planning like a special episode. It's not going to be today. So sorry, guys. We'll plan it for after the 1 year anniversary. Maybe it could be like later on. But before we jump into topics about the Enneagram, I think we have a good topic today. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened, shared, subscribed, sent us comments, been on the show, offered to be on the show. We're going to get you on in this next year for sure. So I just want to say thank you before we keep going.
Ditto. I can't believe it's been a year. It doesn't feel like it's been a whole year, but yeah, what a crazy 52 weeks.
We have gone on the journey a little bit through 2025.
Facts.
Yeah. So hopefully 2026 has some great things in store. That's what I'm going with in this next year of doing this podcast. Hopefully Tannah sticks it out with me for a whole nother year.
Oh,
We'll see.
you're not getting rid of me that easy. You're
Yeah.
not getting rid of me.
Yeah. So very excited. I ran into a mutual friend of Tannah and I's last weekend, who we've mentioned on the podcast once before. She's an Enneagram 4. She recently wrote a book. She has agreed to come on the pod this next year, so I'm excited to get going with her. There's another longtime listener of the pod who's an Enneagram 5 who wants to get scheduled on. It should be fun.
It's going to be really fun. I'm going to try to bring on my 6 friend and my sister who's a 9, do like a sibling episode at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron's got to get on at some point, talk about
He
being
does.
a 9.
I can't believe he's escaped us for a whole year, to be perfectly honest.
I know. I could probably make him come be on today, but, I'd have to go wrangle him off the couch.
Yeah. Knowing him, he's deserved the couch.
He might already be asleep.
Good for him.
So.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I got to sleep in this morning because the battles persist in this house, but I also persist. So last night I asked Landon, I was like, can I sleep in? Like, because I'm normally an early riser anyway. So when the kids wake up at 6, I'm like, it's whatever. I'll go down and drink my coffee and sit on the couch and play referee. But I've just been so exhausted from broken sleep with sick kids, like middle of the night caretaker sessions have become the norm over the last month. And I was just like wiped. So this morning I woke up at 8:30 and I was like, what year is it? What year is it? And it was lovely. But what we were talking about before this was that at 2:00, and we're recording this at 1:30-ish. At 2:00, I need to stretch and fold my bread. It's the last stretch and fold of my sourdough loaf. You guys, this is a big deal. A stretch and fold waits for no one. So as much as I love you guys, like, you're going to have to just deal with that.
In this podcast. So if you watch this, you're going to get to see that in action.
I'm going to do it. I was walking with it upstairs and Landon's like, are you bringing that to the bedroom? I'm like, yes, I have one more stretch and fold. He's like, on the podcast? I'm like, shut up. Keep walking. Nobody asked you your opinion.
I'm actually.
And yes.
Yeah. We do real life here. Like, whatever you got to get done. You got to stretch and fold your bread in the podcast. Fine.
You got to yell at your kid on the monitor to lay down and take a nap. We do it.
Yeah.
We do it. My bread is sitting in the place that Bentley would normally be sitting in. For those of you who don't know, Bentley passed away. And it's very symbolic. Because I think I started doing this like subconsciously, like the universe was trying to tell me that something was going to happen. And then I needed something to obsess about in my free time. And you guys, I made a loaf of bread and it was freaking beautiful. It was beautiful. It was delicious. I did learn I can't keep it in a plastic bag.
Mm.
It doesn't stay crunchy. It gets like soft. But we're learning. And I mixed 2 loaves for the first time. So, and I made discard muffins today. Not a
You're,
baker.
I don't know. Now you are.
So this is a big deal. And it was delicious. My starter's name is Rocco. Rocco is doing a great job.
Nice.
He's killing it. He's killing it. I have one other update since we did put a deposit on a new dog. Yes, it's not going to be born for another 4 weeks. We are getting a beagle. So I'm very excited for that. And we won't get it for like another 12 weeks, which is a good thing because I still have some grieving to do. And like I can't rush that process. Bentley's ashes came home yesterday and I was a mess. A mess.
Yeah.
But he's back home now. And like I can feel him around the house, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like I can feel his energy in certain places where he would normally be, which is comforting.
Yeah.
And I did ask him to do that. I didn't ask that dog for anything, but I was like, listen, you're going to need to visit me every day.
Every day. That's great.
So yeah, that's what we have going on. So in 5 minutes, I'm stretching and folding my grief pacifier.
Perfect. That gives me a second to do the intro and maybe for you to intro our topic. So welcome to Enneagram Adventure. This is Tannah and I's podcast where we talk about life and development and growth, both personal and professional, through the lens of the Enneagram. Yeah, we're both, did I say this already? Did I say we're coaches?
No.
We're both IEQ 9 certified coaches with that particular Enneagram tool. That is our favorite. If you want to know why, send us a DM or an email or a text message. We'll tell you why. Anything you want to add to that?
Just that the Enneagram is about your core motivation. So it's different than other personality assessments that you've probably heard of or taken before, like DISC. It measures what your core motivation is, meaning why you do what you do rather than just what you are doing. So it goes levels deeper, which means it's a great tool for awareness, growth, perspective, understanding, and to be more well-rounded. So with that, our topic today is about noticing when you have a moment of growth that is happening or is needed, right? Where it feels uncomfortable, likely in the moment, or feels unnatural in some way, doesn't feel like homeostasis, and how to stay in that moment, first recognize that moment, stay in that moment, and work your way through by each number.
This comes back to the idea we talk about a lot on the podcast, which is awareness is the first step. So this is a little bit going to be like the step of you have the awareness and how do you take that awareness and turn it into action towards growth rather than repeating a pattern?
Yep. I thought of this topic, you guys, because I've had many opportunity over the last month for growth. And man, do I not recognize it in the moment. I'm working on it, but woof.
It's hard.
Woof. It's very hard.
And especially
when it feels like it's like a 1-2 punch, like it's just constant.
Yeah. Yes. Or when you're super exhausted.
Yes.
Right. So if you're really, really tired, some of those automatic patterns you're just going to do because you don't have the capacity to try to not do them, which I think is a good point to make of like growth is not a linear up and to the right path, right? There are going to be things where you step backwards or you go down or Have you seen those TikToks with the sound where it's like it's okay to pause your growth path, let people know you have a little razzle dazzle and then get back on? Yeah.
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 It's been very hard for me to recognize the patterns that are happening. I think, get to a point of exhaustion this week where it forced me to slow down in some of those moments enough to be like, well, here we go again. I have a magnet that says that, like, oh, great, another bleeping growth opportunity.
There's somebody I used to know who used to talk about like adverse situations in sport particularly, but she would say something about how it's like a character builder, right? Like when you hit these adverse moments, like, oh, we're building character. And someone else that was part of that group at the time would say, I have enough fucking character. I don't need any more character right now. So,
Many characters, if you will.
yeah.
I noticed that in those moments of exhaustion, when I got hit with an opportunity, the opportunity, but it was interesting because it hit me in a time where I was stressed already. So it felt very 8 for me because in the moment when it happened, I was like, that's just not right. Like, I feel that I've been, like, there's an injustice here. And it was very, like, a big 8 energy in the moment, but I was so exhausted that I had moved through it, like, by the end of the day.
Like, I can't spend the energy here.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yep, I that felt wrong because I know it's not true. Why waste my energy on it? It doesn't matter.
That can be really hard. I'm proud of you for moving through that because I think even if I was exhausted, I would keep like replaying it over and over in my
Mhm.
head. And I say that in part because last week? Yeah. Last week I announced a slight change to the triathlon group that Aaron and I run. A very slight change. And it got like such positive, like sort of affirmation, if that's the or validation, right? When I kind of released this change, except for one person. And that one person has lived in my brain for a fucking week. Where I'm like, I still struggle with disappointing anyone. And that even with like all of the best of intentions, there's still someone who's upset about it. And right, like I'm moving through it to this point to be a little bit like, well, if you don't like it, like go start your own team and you can make the decisions, right? Like
Mhm.
that's your options. Like you don't have to
Mhm.
stay if you don't like it. But it's taken me a week to get there and not like, and I've been fighting the urge to like send a message or address it differently or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, selfishly, the reason I wanted to talk about this topic too is because, and I have a call coming up with Brandon next week, is that I have been in all of the chaos having a really hard time noticing those moments that need my attention to be moving through them in a healthier way. And the thing that I've noticed with me being a high feeler, and I feel first, is I have a body feeling when it's those moments. And I'm like in the heat of it, I haven't been noticing the body feeling first. It usually starts in my gut. So if there's a moment that needs more of my attention or better attention, I always have this like stomach feeling that happens. And sometimes you actually called me on this. I get up and walk away because I don't have the capacity for it, or it's a double down is what happens. It's not me like being able to step back and removing myself enough from the situation to think about it with a growth mindset. It's me running from it or trying to just charge through it as fast as possible. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because that's what I need to talk to Brandon about in the work that I was doing with Brandon before, a lot of it was about being present in the moment. And that's a easy say, hard do for a lot of people, I think. Either you retreat into your head or you retreat forward or backward, whatever, right? I kind of want to talk through every number, and maybe we start with, I just kind of explained how it works for me from a 2 perspective, but for you in a 5 space, what happens when you recognize those moments?
Well, presence, I think, is a good call out.
And I'm going to stretch and fold my bread.
Yes, stretch and fold your bread. For me as a 5 and for other 5s that I know, the pattern tends to be the escape to the head. It's a very head thing, right? When I'm no longer present in the moment, I have left the room, not physically, but mentally. It can start to be like checklist, or it can start to be thinking about a different conversation and no longer listening anymore to like what's happening in the space that I'm in. Every once in a while, it can be like a full swap to another task. But I think the work and where I recognize it now, and I'm much better about it, I think, than I have been, is to be like more aware of, if you're not watching this on YouTube right now, guys, like, I'm just sorry. I'm like interrupting my train of thought, speaking about like not being present. Can't finish this train of thought. You might be able to
Guys.
slightly hear like the AMSR sound of her pulling,
I'm like, can you hear this?
of her pulling the bread. I'm just gonna pause so we can have that for just a second. Go ahead.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Good job, Rocco. You're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. But it looks good, you guys. I don't know. It's not that serious. That's what I keep telling myself. It's not that serious.
No. So back to the 5s and like being present. I don't know if that's like a perfect example of like being distracted, but
It's very distracting. It's nice looking bread. There's a bubble. Look at it. Oh my God. You guys. It's so happy. Okay. One more and then we're done.
I think for me, I'm working on the action of when I notice that I'm mentally leaving the room, I'm working on the action of bringing myself back into the space, right? So it's like it's almost, and Brandon would be so proud of me to hear me say this, but it's almost like the meditative thing of like the noticing your brain leaving and then like bringing it back.
Sure.
Right. So it's that kind of practice, but it's in conversation, it's in work that I'm doing. If I'm in the middle of like, I have this tendency to be in the middle of doing a project and then jump ship to another project. And so it's a little bit more of like bringing it back to the, nope, finish what you started. Like, you don't need to move on, like that kind of thing. I think that answers your question, maybe.
It does. What helps you beyond kind of like that meditative state, right? To be pulled back. If you, like, let's say you're in a growth opportunity, you start to 5 your way out of it and you're like, oh, nope, here's how I'm gonna stay here. Go to sleep.
Do you mean like from other people, or do you mean like in my own, like when I recognize it?
Like in your own, when you recognize it.
When I recognize it, I think it's more just like it's not super tactical. It's more of just like a mental refocusing. And I will in my head tell myself to stay in the room, like not to leave.
Oh, it's like a literal monologue conversation you have in your head of like, nope.
Yep, don't leave. Like, stay here. And
Do people really not have inner monologues?
some people claim they don't have an inner critic. I've heard people say they don't have an inner critic, but I think everybody's got to have some kind of inner monologue, right?
I talk to myself all day in my head.
I was listening to a thing the other day, though, where somebody was talking about, oh, I can't remember if it was Alan Watts or who it was, but they were talking about that voice that talks to you in your head all day isn't you.
Who is it?
Like that the you is listening.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if
Hmm.
you like have done enough, maybe there's like a way that you can turn the inner monologue off if you like do enough work. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe. I think that kind of in the moment, like, no, stay in the room resonates with me. But the thing that also helps me kind of snap out of like a spiral, if I'm going down a not healthy spiral in a moment of growth, is for the other person. You've done this to me before where you're like, you're doing that thing. Like, stop it. Like, shit. Like, I need somebody to call me out on it. And not just like anybody, just the people that like that I trust enough to not judge me for doing the thing that I'm doing.
I will say to that point, it is helpful for me if somebody notices to like ask me a question or a something that like brings me back if they notice like but I don't know that everybody notices. The other thing that sometimes helps is if I am like losing it and the person that I'm talking to, like, because I'm very good at like somebody just like fills up the space and will stop listening. But if all of a sudden they just stop, sometimes that will snap me back too. Cause I'll be like, oh shit. Like it's almost like the realization of they have found me out. They know I'm no longer listening.
They found me turned around in a corner,
Yeah.
not listening.
So
Oh my
you and I,
goodness.
there's a 9 you and I know who often I will catch myself with her. Like she's like started to pick up on some of my things. So she'll just turn and walk away and I'll be like, wait, no, we're not done. I know we're not done. I promise I want to listen to the story. Please come back. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, okay. That's good. And if there are like other 5s or 2s that experience a little bit of like leave comments and DM us and all those things, but I don't think we need to go in any particular order besides I feel like we leave out 3s towards the end quite often. So maybe we start with them first.
Yeah. I think 3s being an assertive number. One of the things I've noticed with them when they start to lose interest is they multitask. Now, some 3s will tell you that they multitask to help them think. Like it's sort of like I need to be doing in order to be thinking, which, sure, I believe that is certainly the case. But it can also be one of the ways that they are like losing presence or losing interest, right? Or something's getting uncomfortable. So I'm going to do something else. Or I'm going to do something at the same time to try to like lessen the discomfort with whatever's happening in the moment.
Sure. Sure. A healthy 3, a pretty healthy 3 that you and I know does this thing with me sometimes where if I catch him at the wrong time, meaning like he's frustrated or he's mad or he like anything, and I have a thing that I need to like discuss, I'll pick up on a vibe and I'm like, maybe this isn't like a right now. And he'll be like, no, it's fine. I have this other thing. It's not about it. Like he will even close his eyes sometimes when he says that. Have you ever seen him do that?
Mm-hmm.
And like do like some sort of physical movement, like almost like he's pushing away from that thing and trying to be pulled in a different direction. But some 3s that I know when they hit a moment of opportunity, it's that like trying to barrel through it.
Oh, sure.
Like a bull in a china shop,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like train is on the tracks and you cannot stop it.
We're going to go as fast as possible to the other side of this.
Yes.
The other number who I've experienced doing that is 7.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a little different reason, right? Because they're avoiding some bad. I mean, I guess the 3s are avoiding the bad feeling too, but their sort of thing is more about the efficiency of getting to the other side and getting on to their next thing. But the 7 can kind of do it to be like, I want to feel better as quickly as possible. I want this to feel pleasant again. And so I'm just going to like run through this.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense too because a 3 is avoiding the feeling that is inefficient. I'm angry about this. This doesn't feel I'm frustrated. I have to do something with this and therefore,
Yeah. And they are both also assertive numbers.
yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
A 7 it's interesting you bring that up because I've seen it really similarly with both of them where it can be like a dagger. Like something super sharp comes out that is a little bit like, if you're going to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you're just the messenger.
Yes.
There's yeah. I think in that, like, the pause is so important for everyone. But I also think, you know, if a 3 is coming up on this feeling and not wanting to just do their same old pattern that they always do, if they're looking for kind of a, I don't want to say easy, but an accessible option to do something different would be to go on their growth line to 6 and think about it through the standpoint of, if I were with a really healthy 6 right now, how would they be reacting to or handling this situation? Right? It would be thoughtful, it would be planning, it would be looking around corners. It wouldn't be about rushing, it wouldn't be about running away.
Right.
I think that for 7s to that point, that line for them would be to 5, which again would be thoughtful, slowing down, checking on data or details or learning about something differently, right? So it's a very similar, even though they're moving to different numbers, kind of a similar idea.
Yeah. All of it is discomfort. I just like need to state the obvious, right? Whether it's depending on your number, it's why. It's a little bit of why it's uncomfortable and how you're going to go about navigating it. That feeds into that core motivation. So, just to state the obvious for why it's different number by number, even though the behavior might look similar. So, if we go back to the 3-7 situation, the behaviors might look really similar. The why is what's different.
Right. Yeah. Let's just talk about that why really quick in case somebody's new here and isn't familiar with the motivations of 3s versus 7s. And 3s are motivated around this idea that what they achieve or how successful they are is what leads to them being loved and cared for. That their value comes from their achievements versus just being a person. 7s are motivated by this strong desire for freedom and avoiding boredom and pain. So very different motivations there. Yeah.
Maybe we talk about 1s then, because growth opportunities for 1s, sometimes the one, we know a 1 where I can almost see it when it happens for him, where you can almost see him go inside of his own head. And everything that he says is like well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And it's this needs to be right. And it needs to be correct.
I think the other thing that 1s often do when they're uncomfortable is to double down on following the rules or to doing kind of what's expected of them. They are a compliant number or a dependent number, depending on how you want to talk about it. But in that, sometimes the discomfort makes them be like, well, I'm just going to follow the rule to a T. And so I think there's opportunity for them to get into the gray a little bit more and
Mm-hmm.
to be okay with things being a little squishy and not being firmed up or going a little differently. It doesn't make it wrong if it
Yeah.
goes differently. The other thing I've noticed, and we've talked about this multiple times about ones, but their default can be to be so humble and so accommodating, again, in that compliant stance, like that they end up sort of giving away credit or giving away opportunity it's that they should have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The same one that you and I both know that happened a little bit this week where I felt like I got credit for something and I got a message about it that was like, hey, this was great. The one that we're talking about was included on the message, and I immediately responded back. I was like, let me be really clear that like
This was his idea.
this was his idea, not mine. So if you are a person who knows a one that you have in your life, just giving them a little bit of that stage time, even if they forfeit it for themselves, really reinforces trust with ones too. Because there are some ones that I know that will do that. And then if they don't get kind of that support in the humility camp, they start to be resentful and like everything gets real close to the vest and gatekeepy, and they don't really talk about it. It's a little bit of the thing that I do as a two where I'm a martyr, right? Like I'll do all these things and I want you to tell me thank you, and I want you to tell me how helpful it was. And if you don't do that, then I'll get resentful.
Ones can also be a little scorekeeper-ish too, while they're very humble at the same time. If somebody takes advantage of that humility a few too many times,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
to your point, right? That can make them pull away.
Yeah.
And the pull away for ones, just as like a quick thing, is that that's their move to four when they're feeling stressed out or maybe taken advantage of or something like that. Yeah.
Speaking of four, maybe
Yeah.
we go there.
Yeah. I think for fours, the challenge for them is well, there's multiple challenges, but in this, like when you're coming up against something that's uncomfortable, a lot of times the discomfort is in the belief that no one understands what's happening, that no one understands how you're feeling, that no one understands. And because you're so unique and you're such an individual, it's not possible for anyone to understand. And so the challenge in that would be to start to find evidence that people do understand and they are trying to help you. They aren't necessarily trying to put you in a box, but maybe they are trying to provide support or guidance or whatever. And if you stop fighting that so hard, you might find like support and care and things like that in a different way. So that's
Yeah.
one I think of.
I am a little jealous that a four can sometimes immediately recognize the feeling that they're having in a moment. And maybe to that point it is more of the recognition of the feeling, identifying why you're having that feeling. So exploring it a little bit more, but being willing to move on after a certain point. And maybe figuring out like when it doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah. I do think there's like that's an amazing strength of fours is that quick to identify the feeling. But
Mhm.
to your point, it's the how do you not get stuck there after you've
Mhm.
identified it? Or how do you separate your identity from the feeling and
Right.
let the feeling move. Like emotions and feelings will move if you let them. Yeah, so that's an opportunity for a four for sure.
More of a I feel this. I am not this.
Yes. I feel sad, not I am sad. right? Or
Yes.
I feel misunderstood. Yeah, not wrapping it into your identity.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
actually good advice for everybody. I think we all have a tendency to identify with things and get attached to them in that way. And I was having that thought, a bit of a rabbit hole, but I was having that thought this week a little bit of like where I'm at in my own personal journey and certain things. And have I attached my identity to being broken? Like that's maybe a bit dramatic, but said the simplest that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm no longer broken. And is it hard for me to let go of that identity piece?
That's interesting. When I started work with Brandon, I remember one of the first things I said to him was, I feel like I was cheated out of getting to know myself. So it's become a little bit of this obsession for me
Yeah.
of why am I this way? What are the things that I've done or experienced or behave that I ended up this way? And sometimes that makes it feel like it's a negative, right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's framing it into a curiosity rather than a identity of I've been cheated out of something,
Right.
which might be a good spot for us to talk about eights.
Yeah. Yep. That is a good transition to eights off that rabbit hole.
Eights. So for anyone that is new, I live with an eight. My husband is an eight. He has had plenty of opportunity for growth in all of the emotion that's been in my notes for the last month. Poor guy. Poor guy. But so yesterday was a really good example of there was growth. There could be more, right? He brought home Bentley's ashes yesterday. They come in this like beautiful gift bag, right? But he walked into the house. I was finishing up with something for work, and he's just downstairs watching. I don't even know what he was watching. Probably something hunting or golf related. And the first thing I see when I walk down is that bag on the counter. So I pull out the ashes. There's like a little paw print and like a little like terracotta like imprint of his paw print with his name on top, and I'm a mess. So he like I go over and I give him a hug or whatever, and I said I just miss him so much, and he said, yeah, I know, I miss him too. But then like thinking back on it, he knew I was going to be a hot mess when that happened.
Yeah.
That's why he set it on the counter and he walked away.
Instead of bringing it to you directly.
Instead of bringing it to me directly and being like, this is here. You're going to have a moment. Let's have the moment.
Yeah. The eight in him was like, I don't got time for that.
Like, oh God.
Yeah. Maybe if I quietly just set it over there, she won't notice.
She won't. It's just going to sit there and she's not going to see it. But it's been moments like that over the last month where, now I will say, I didn't tell this story, but my youngest had such a high fever that he was hallucinating in the middle of the night. And that was like a very terrifying experience. I can laugh about it now, but it was terrifying. And it's just been a lot, like with kids sick and everything, and taking time to work from home and juggle all of the things. And I got a message from him while I was home with our sick kid, and he was like, I just want to say thank you. I know it's been a lot. And buddy, lay down. I'll let you know when it's time to wake up. Can definitely hear that. Yes, you can go to the bathroom. Quietly, please. So he sends me this super nice message that's like, I know it's been a lot, and you're doing a great job, and thank you very much. That's like currency for me. My message back was very clear of like, thank you so much. I need to hear that. That's super helpful. Makes me feel validated. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that's growth.
Yeah, it's
That's
progress.
growth.
We're making progress.
We're making progress. We're making progress.
I think while we're still on eights before we move on, I think eights too their discomfort with feeling can make them like not dissimilar to sevens and threes, but make them rush to get to the other side of it. Or send them straight to anger.
Yes. Straight to anger or like withdrawing completely. Just being unwilling to experience the moment itself.
I think the growth, and that's if we think about the growth for an eight, eights move to 2 on their growth line. And so that goes back to that where you're making progress, right? Where he's saying the nice things, where he's acknowledging, where he's thanking. It is that noticing the people around you and how they're feeling and what they might need is the kind of opportunity. If you find yourself in your 8 pattern, can you pause and think, what do the people around me need from me right now? It's not my righteous anger.
Right.
Or my silence.
Yes. Nines.
So the growth for 9 is to stay similar to 5. It's to stay in the room mentally, emotionally, and physically, particularly in times of conflict. The pattern for a 9 is to avoid conflict at all cost and to make judgments about what conflict means or tell themselves stories about what conflict means without actually validating that the story they're telling themselves is in fact the truth.
Yeah. It feels like so heavy for a 9.
Well, and that's part of it. Like that fear of conflict is so strong. You know, I tell this story all the time about Aaron and the first time we had a fight when we were dating that he thought that meant we were breaking up. It's like that strong of that this will break this thing forever if I engage in a conflict. It can also be people that disappear from your life completely because of a conflict that's solvable. But rather than like stay and work through the discomfort, work through the awkward feeling, work through the curiosity, it's easier to spin up a story about how good relationships don't have those kind of issues and to leave.
Right. It doesn't look like how you have it in your head.
Yeah.
Therefore.
Right. Have you ever seen the movie High Fidelity?
No.
It's a John Cusack movie. It's probably like 25 years old now, maybe even old, maybe 27 years old now. I think it came out in 1999. Worth your time. I highly recommend. But there's like a line in there where he's like struggling to stay in this relationship with this woman that he loves. I don't know that his character is a 9. I'm not trying to say his character is a 9 by any means, but this particular line is it's like an awareness that would be good for a 9 to like develop. So he's talking to this woman that he's had this off and on relationship with, and he wants to be with her. But at the same time, he's kind of been like flirting with this girl on the side. And he proposes to this woman he's off and on with, and she laughs at him. And he's like, well, what does that mean? And she's like, I'm sorry if I don't see you as the safest bet based on the fact that you were just making mixtapes for this girl. And he goes into this whole monologue about how the girls in his head, these other girls in his head, there's no problems. Like these relationships don't have any problems. And so in his head, he gets like wrapped up in these stories about these other girls. And then he's like, and then I come home and you and I have real problems. And he like talks through like, it's a whole thing. I can't quote it exactly.
Yeah.
But like, it's one of those like, don't get caught in the story where there's no problems. Real life is full of problems that need to be solved. And it's sort of like his recognition of he would rather stay and solve the problems with her than indulge this fantasy any further.
Sounds like a good movie.
It is a good movie. It has Jack Black. It's hilarious also. There's like so many. Yeah.
That's
classic
amazing.
late 90s, early 2000s. Amazing.
I love that. Did we get through?
We didn't do
all nine?
6.
Oh, 6. 6. Sorry, 6s. Yeah, so 6, I've seen this different for a couple of 6s that I know. It seems like counterphobic and phobic might be a little bit at war there, but well, maybe not. It's just different. I'm thinking about it in 2 different ways, where comes from a little bit more of a place of resistance rather than running away.
Yeah.
So a 6 that I am close with, my cousin, the way that I've seen this for her is maybe not trying to attempt to reason or scenario your way out of the thing or immediately start planning for what could go wrong
Yeah.
in the moment. Maybe a recognition for if it's a moment of growth as something has already gone wrong.
Yes. I think we joke about it all the time, right? It's how do you let things happen versus prepare for things. That's a huge opportunity of growth for 6. But I also think 6s and the chaining, huge opportunity in the not linking things together in ways that they don't go together. Or I think in the I'm looking around corners, I'm being prepared, I'm making sure I've covered all my bases. Sometimes they also can end up in a story that's not real.
Right. Or they've assigned a meaning to something that's incorrect because of all of that chaining.
Yeah. Well, you had an interaction with a 6 this week where they took an incident that had literally nothing to do with them
Mm-hmm.
and attached it to their own story in a way that was not healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit of stuff that's happening around you. Not all of it has anything to do with you, and some of it has no meaning at all whatsoever. Like some of it's just like we're all human beings that are trying to like navigate life right now.
Right. Sometimes it's just not that serious.
At risk of offending every 4, sometimes it's just not that deep.
It's just not that deep.
It's just not that deep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fun one.
It was. This was good. And I'm glad we recorded on the anniversary date, even though this is going to come out a few days later. That feels special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys followed through all of that and with your side of ASMR.
I'm so excited to edit this back and find out what it sounds like.
Oh my God, it's going to be weird. Yeah, I'm going to go put a shower cap on my bread now and watch it double.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I wish I could have it. I'm so curious.
I know. I actually was looking that up a couple nights ago, like how you make anything with sourdough that's gluten-free.
I wonder if I brought you my Italian flour, if you could use that, if that would work.
I wonder if I could try to do like a mini starter with that flour.
Yeah.
But no, I would have to make a new starter with it. Because
maybe
my starter was born out of bread flour.
Out of bread flour. Well, maybe I have some. Maybe I can bring you some and then we can experiment. Because I don't know how to make the starter, but maybe if you make the starter, I can bring it home and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We can figure it out.
Join your sourdough cult, because I need one more thing to be worried about.
Yes. Oh, it's like got bubbles on the surface, you guys. It's a whole thing. It's great. This is Saturday for a 35-year-old.
We gotta start.
Well, thank you. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. If you loved this podcast, please like, share, subscribe, leave a review. Reviews are helpful.
Yeah.
Comment. You got questions? You want to be on the pod? Let us know. We're gonna start booking up for this next year.
Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
Holly.
Cool. Talk to you later, Tannah.
Bye.